Edward may be the most disrespected engine in Thomas's history. And one Season 7 episode perfectly shows where the writers stopped understanding him. And it only got worse as time went on. I recently rewatched Edward and the Brass Band from Season 7. This episode stood out to me because it was the only episode I know of where Edward derails.
Suddenly, the crane swung the boiler and knocked Edward right off the track.
In the classic series, anyway. That's kind of crazy when you think about it. Every other major character had a major accident and came off the rails. Edward never did. Until now. The closest we got to that was Edward's exploit, but still, Edward was able to pull through. But the crash itself feels wrong. A giant boiler is being unloaded at the docks, yet no signal stops, traffic, no warning sign is given, and Edward is allowed straight through. That's already strange. But the real problem isn't the crash itself, it's who crashed. Edward is cautious, observant. Even though the docks were at fault, Edward is the last character who should have missed something like this. I am baffled that Edward, of all characters, wasn't paying attention. So, seeing him blindly run into a boiler doesn't feel like drama. It feels like the writers needed someone to crash. That brings me to my next issue I have with this episode. I buy Edward being excited to do a special job like pulling the brass band, yet after he's hit with this giant boiler, all Edward seems focused on is hoping that he can get repaired in time.
"Please, sir," pleaded Edward, "will the fitters be finished soon?" "Not soon enough, and the band can't wait. I'm sorry, Edward. Bertie will take them to the concert." Edward felt worse than ever.
His main priority in this episode is just he wants a cool job. This is so wrong compared to Edward's depiction in Edward's exploit.
"Come on," he puffed and moved cautiously forward. The first coach moving helped to start the second, and the second helped the third.
True, Edward's situation in Edward and the Brass Band is not as dire as Edward's exploit, but what separates them is that Edward puts his passengers first. True, he deserves a first-pick job, but Edward would do the dull work if asked because he cares about keeping the railway running. The real Edward would be more worried about the brass band getting safely to their destination. Edward puts others before himself. That's why this episode frustrates me. It doesn't just give Edward bad luck. It gives him the wrong personality. And that happens too often. Edward deserved better then, and honestly, he still does now. Edward might not be the strongest character, but he is the most dependable one. Somewhere along the line, the writers forgot that difference. Here's to the new show, hopefully giving the first ever character of the franchise the respect he deserves.
Sir Topham Hatt angrily pointed to the clock, but excited passengers cheered and thanked Edward, his driver, and firemen.
Thanks for watching. I don't normally do announcements at the end of the video, but now I have a Twitter account. Feel free to give me a follow or invite me to follow you.